In the Mike Tomlin era, he's been criticized for too often playing down to teams, losing to the ones the Steelers weren't just supposed to beat, but easily handle. And some of that is true. Pittsburgh suffered too many ugly losses in recent years, but nothing touches what happened on December 8th, 2002, under head coach Bill Cowher. That day, the Steelers took on the brand new expansion Houston Texans at Heinz Field. Heavy favorites, Pittsburgh would go on to lose 24-6. Not only was this loss the epitome of playing down to their competition, it was arguably the worst loss in franchise history. Ready or not, let's relive that terrible day. The Texans joined the NFL in 2002. Their game against the Steelers just the 13th in their history. They entered the game with a 3-9 record, losing 4 of their last 5. Houston had the league's most inept offense, finishing dead last in points scored that year, and had only registered a field goal in their Week 13 loss to the Indianapolis Colts. David Carr, the team and league's first overall pick, had already been sacked 64 times. He'd end the year dropped 76 times, an NFL record that still stands today. Pittsburgh entered the game in a much better place, a 7-4-1 record, winning their last 2 games and leading the newly formed AFC North. Quarterback Tommy Maddox was making his first start since a scary injury that left him temporarily paralyzed a month earlier. The Steelers were heavy 14-point favorites, one of the largest lines of the year. Over 58,000 fans packed Heinz Field that day, expecting a comfortable Steelers win. Houston won the coin toss and elected to receive the opening kickoff. Chad Scott was called for pass interference on the second play of the game, and David Carr scrambled for 7 yards to pick up another first down, driving Houston down to the Steelers' 33. But Jason Gilden picked up 2 sacks, knocking the Texans out of field goal range and forcing them to punt.
33, Houston on the move, first possession of the game. Carr steps up, pocket collapsing, and David Carr goes down. Gilden among those there for Pittsburgh. Carr back to throw, pump fake, and Carr is sacked. Gilden with the hit, and that ball squirted loose. That's why you see the scrap for it.
He's just trying to protect the quarterback. Ryan Young matched up against Jason Gilden, who just walks him straight back to the quarterback. And David Carr doesn't have time to get rid of.
Pittsburgh was pinned to their 2-yard line, but slowly crept away from the shadow of their own end zone. On 3rd and 17, Maddox hit Plexico Burress for a 19-yard gain over the middle of the field. But consecutive false starts by Antoine Van Alel and Marvel Smith put the Steelers back into a 3rd and 18 hole, and it would lead to the first of many disasters of the day. An awkward Maddox fumble, scooped and scored by quarterback Kenny Wright, 40 yards the other way.
Touchdown, Cordell Stewart too, actually running and passing, but it's all about getting the ball in the end zone.
Here's Maddox running with some open space in front of him, loses the football. Scooped up at the 40-yard line, Kenny Wright down the sideline. Touchdown, Texans.
Wow. And that just silenced the crowd here because Tommy Maddox, you thought he would be able to get out of bounds. I think he thought he would get out of bounds, but he lost control of the football.
May come as he approaches the sideline.
Yeah, let's watch and see if there's a flinch. No, he just tried to make a move.
Tried to dance his way.
And he lost the ball. See, he's trying to put a move on Stevens, and he doesn't protect the football. And that has nothing to do with a previous injury. It's just a mistake made by Tommy Maddox because he didn't protect the football.
On the ensuing drive, Maddox tried to regroup, hitting wide receivers Terrence Mathis and Plexico Burress for gains of 12 and 13 yards, driving the Steelers into Houston territory. Then the Steelers turned the ball over for a second time.
Usually where they want to run the ball.
2nd and 11, short drop, and intercepted. Aaron Glenn's got room in front of him. Glenn's a speedster. And say goodnight. Touchdown, Texans.
Well, you talk about having a bead on what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do. I told you, Dom Capers spent 3 years here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He told us last night in our meeting, he said many of the things they do, it looks the same.
Houston had their second defensive score of the day, and it was still just the first quarter. Pittsburgh came into the game 2-score favorites. Now they trailed 14-0. Both offenses traded 3 and outs the rest of the half until Jeff Reed got the Steelers on the board with a 40-yard field goal with 28 seconds left before the break. At the half, the Steelers trailed 14-3. Pittsburgh had 187 yards of total offense. Houston had 35. But Pittsburgh got the ball to start the second half, and they marched down to the Texans' 5. Another drive stalled, Maddox sacked on 3rd and goal, and Reed hit his second field goal of the day from 31 yards out. The Texans' offense continued to do absolutely nothing in the second half. Here's how the first 5 second-half possessions turned out. Punt, 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 punt. 4 of them saw Houston go 3 and out. The Steelers, though, didn't take advantage. They did everything to give the game away. Maddox missed a wide-open Hines Ward early in the fourth quarter for a would-be 25-yard touchdown. Jeff Reed missed a 43-yard field goal the next play. The score remained 14-6 in favor of Houston.
Maddox the holder, and Reed. No good! He came up short from 43 yards away. 14-6.
With 5 minutes to go, the Texans again sent out the punt team. Returner Antoine Randall attempted to field the ball at his 20, but muffed the punt, letting it bounce away and recovered by Texans linebacker Troy Evans.
A booming punt. Randall backpedaling. Can't catch it! Still loose on the field. White and black jerseys diving for the football.
Well, there are several Texans who had an opportunity to get the ball. And they went right by it, and I think Pittsburgh was able to come back and get possession.
And now the officials signal for Houston.
Big play for Houston. That's the big play Dom Capers was looking for on special teams.
Houston's offense, as it did most of the day, went backwards, losing 5 yards the next 3 plays and settled on a Chris Brown field goal to make it a 2-possession game again, 17-6. Pittsburgh was forced to go into hurry-up mode, but Maddox and the Steelers' offense would make one more mistake on the day, their 5th turnover. He was picked 6 by Aaron Glenn for the 2nd time, the final nail in the coffin of an ugly, miserable day.
4th and 2. Out of the gun, Maddox throws and intercepted. Aaron Glenn. It's a race, and Glenn will win it and end this one with a flurry. 2nd touchdown of the day for Glenn. And the Houston Texans have come into Heinz Field and pulled off a shocker.
2 merciful minutes later, the game was over, and Houston won 24-6. It was a win that amazed Steelers players. Tackle Wayne Gandy had never played in such a game, he'd tell reporters. Maddox knew the 5 turnovers were the only reason why Pittsburgh lost. David Carr threw the ball just 10 times, completing only 3, and both sides acknowledged Houston had no interest in doing anything risky offensively. The Texans recorded just 3 first downs. Houston finished the day with 47 yards of total offense. Pittsburgh had 422. In NFL history, teams with more than 400 yards of offense who held their opponents to under 100 are 32-1, making the 2002 Pittsburgh Steelers the only team to lose such a game. To their credit, Pittsburgh would go on to win their next 3 games and clinch the AFC North title, beating the Browns in comeback fashion in the wildcard game before losing to Joe Nedney and the Tennessee Titans in the divisional game. The Texans, they lost their final 3, averaging barely more than 10 points per game. The Steelers have been playing football for a long time. They've had some awful-looking losses. In 1989, they got blown out by the Cleveland Browns 51-0. In Thanksgiving of '83, the Lions won 45-3. There was the back-breaking 2017 playoff loss to Jacksonville. But no game had all the ingredients of what happened in 2002. A lowly opponent, a strong Steelers team. There might not have been a single person who thought the Texans were going to win that game. Look at the box score, and it's almost hard to believe. It makes for the worst loss in Pittsburgh Steelers history.